Blink number 5. Happy relationships can also involve infidelity, which sometimes serves as a way to explore alternate identities. If you're unfaithful, there must be something wrong with the relationship you're in, right? Maybe you and your partner aren't the perfect match. Otherwise, why would you stray? It may seem counterintuitive, but infidelity isn't always a symptom of an unhappy relationship. In fact, you can be contentedly partnered and still have an affair. Just consider the case of a woman we'll call Priya. Priya and her husband Colin have a lovely family, tons of friends, and they're both satisfied and successful in their careers. Colin is a good lover and a good husband. Their relationship is very happy. Nevertheless, Priya began having an affair. After a hurricane blew through the neighborhood, an arborist came to clear away the fallen trees. He drove a truck, had tattoos everywhere, and looked, well, exactly like the kind of stereotypical handyman with whom you'd expect a stereotypically successful wife to have an affair. For Priya, part of what makes her affair with the arborist so exciting is that he too is in a relationship. This means that, rather than happening in his apartment, their sexual encounters usually take place in one of their cars or in a movie theater. The possibility that they might get caught is thrilling, but it's also terrifying because being found out could ruin her marriage. So why would she risk her happy relationship with Colin? Well, affairs can be a way to explore alternate identities. Priya's sessions with the author made clear that early in life she'd assumed the role of good girl. She never betrayed her family's expectations. She did well academically, professionally, and romantically, and although she's happy with the way it all turned out, she now realizes that she prioritized what others wanted for her rather than what she wanted for herself. Her affair with the arborist is her way of exploring her desires and identity. It's a way of living the life she chose not to lead. Blink number 6. For some people, love and sex do not easily coexist, and this usually originates in childhood. It may sound strange, but it's not unheard of. An otherwise stellar and exemplary spouse, rather than having sex with his or her loving partner, starts visiting sex workers. Why would someone do this? Why would someone in an apparently harmonious relationship pay for sex? For some people, love and sex don't easily coexist. Consider Garth, a man in his third marriage who keeps having the same discouraging experience. The marriage begins with fire and passion, but before long he ceases to desire his wife. He loses his ability to get an erection. Indeed, he begins to feel that having intercourse with her would somehow be wrong, and so he begins to visit sex workers. Now, this isn't the mere waning of sexual passion that most couples experience sooner or later. Garth doesn't feel some bland indifference to his wife, he feels a strong aversion. This is because, for Garth, sexual contact and deep emotional connection are mutually exclusive. As is the case for most people with a similar issue, Garth's inability to have sex with the person he loves originated in childhood. Garth's father was a violent alcoholic, and he would regularly beat his family. When this happened, Garth attempted to protect his mother and younger brother by standing between them and his father's fists. This unhealthy environment led to Garth becoming overly caught up in his mother's emotional life. He felt that it was his duty to protect and care for her. According to Terry Real, a psychotherapist who wrote an article on the subject in 2017, such cases are common. Men in these situations later project this mother-son dynamic onto their adult relationships with women. This is what Garth does. He feels an aversion to sexual contact with women he loves because it feels incestuous, and the feeling only gets stronger as he gets closer to them. Such trauma has no easy cure. Indeed, there may be no cure at all. Sadly, Garth's third wife left him, just like the previous two. She couldn't accommodate his unfaithfulness, nor did she think he would ever change. Blink number 7. Infidelity may seem like the ultimate form of betrayal, but others can be far worse. Infidelity is often regarded as the apotheosis of moral failure. As the Bible says, "Whosoever looketh on a woman to lust after her hath committed adultery with her already in his heart." No other sin works this way. Infidelity is the only sin that you can commit by merely thinking about it. Westerners have inherited this Judeo-Christian ethic. Indeed, we tend to regard infidelity as the ultimate form of betrayal. This is irrefutably the case in the United States. According to a 2013 Gallup survey, a whopping 91% of Americans regard infidelity as morally unacceptable. No other comparable action was so roundly condemned. For instance, divorce, which used to be highly frowned upon in the United States, was only disapproved of by 24% of the population. But is infidelity truly the worst form of betrayal? In a relationship, betrayal can take many forms, some of them far uglier than infidelity. Paying little or no attention to your partner is a form of betrayal, as is demanding unreasonable sacrifices such as asking her to give up career plans or close friends in order to be with you. Mona, who was married to Dexter for many years, is a case in point. Dexter used to bully her regularly. He'd organize vacations with their kids that involved long flights because he knew that Mona was afraid of flying and thus wouldn't be able to go. He'd constantly make her feel silly and uninteresting, taking every opportunity to diss her. He always provided for the family financially, but this also kept Mona on a short leash. She depended on him. It wasn't until Mona met her lover Robert that she realized how kind men could be. Around him she felt interesting and worthy of real love. When Dexter learned of the affair, he called her horrible names and said that she was to blame for the dissolution of their marriage. But who had truly betrayed whom? Dexter had made Mona emotionally miserable for years, whereas Mona had merely sought an extramarital source for the love and kindness that Dexter wasn't giving her. Blink number 8. Consensual non-monogamy works for some people, but it is not a fail-safe solution to infidelity. The word relationship tends to conjure images of a somewhat traditional arrangement, two people who are exclusively committed to each other and who sometimes struggle to stay faithful. But this is by no means the only model available. Indeed, plenty of people have proposed alternatives to the monogamous approach to partnership, and one of the most popular counter-proposals is consensual non-monogamy. The relationship still consists of two central partners, but each partner is allowed to have sex with other people, and they're both open and honest about this. Consensual non-monogamists will tell you that monogamy is a lie. We may all pretend to be faithful, but in reality tons of people cheat, indeed, and arguably everyone cheats in thought. Why be so hypocritical? Why not admit that people aren't wired for monogamy and simply permit and discuss the undeniable desire to sleep with others? Okay, the monogamists say, but if you want to have multiple partners, why not remain single? Marriage demands full commitment. Well, respond the non-monogamists, one can be committed to multiple people. Think of friendship. You don't need to choose one friend at the expense of all others. Yes, say the monogamists, but love and sex are different. The comparison to friendship is misleading. Fine, replied the non-monogamists, but if everyone is either already cheating or thinking about cheating, why not just be upfront about it? Well, replied the monogamists, and the debate rages on. There's probably no one-size-fits-all approach to partnership. However, if you decide to give consensual non-monogamy a go, you shouldn't be naive about it. It's by no means a fail-safe solution to infidelity. Remember, infidelity isn't such a simple matter. It's often as much about breaking rules as it is about sleeping around, and relationships, no matter what form they take, require rules. For example, even if you and your partner decide that it's fine to have sex with other people, the rule might be that you're not allowed to get emotionally involved, and that falling in love is a definite no-no. But transgression is tempting, and it's not uncommon for a partner in a non-monogamous couple to fall in love with a third party. The author has seen it many times, and it constitutes just as much of a betrayal as infidelity in a monogamous relationship. Thank you for joining us in a reading of the Blinks to Esther Perel's book, The State of Affairs. With over a decade of specializing in couples and relationship therapy, Ms. Perel explores the topic of infidelity and why it is almost universally regarded as a breach of precious trust. Indeed, it's regarded by many as the worst form of betrayal, but we tend not to give sufficient thought to the subject of infidelity. Sometimes it might be more of a betrayal to reveal an affair than to hide it, and other behaviors such as making your partner's life miserable by putting him down can be far greater betrayals than a one-night stand. Infidelity can even be good for a relationship if it sparks a bit of healthy jealousy.